Welcome everywhere to the second day of the GameShow Invitational, a 15,000 USD tournament. It is going to be a best of three because this is the GSL format for the group stage at least. So two teams advance. For that you need to win two series and you are also allowed to lose one, but that's about it. It is going to be Power Rangers going up against Chappa, and welcoming into this Power Rangers, they must be the favorites. Chappa, a team that came from the open qualifier, so we'll see if they maybe can just do something to Power Rangers or not. In any case, we're HeflaTV, your English coverage for this one. I'm Couchor, once again, gonna be joined by GrandisV, just like yesterday. Do you also think Power Rangers are the favorites, or do you think we're gonna see just an upset here?
Yeah, pretty heavily. I would love to see an upset, and I'd love to see them put up a good fight. There are some recognizable names on the Chappa's side, and I think they do have a shot, although I think just as a general rule, Power Rangers have been playing together longer and probably playing together better, so we'll just have to see how this best of three unfolds. We're going to start things off with Chen, Gyrocopter, Ion, and Dying Band.
So rather standard stuff so far, but still leaves quite a bit of just those stronger heroes still in the pool as well. For example, Beastmaster could easily be picked up as the first one for Power Rangers here. Or, well, just so many strong heroes, Queen of Pain up there, Visage of course as well, which they went for. So if you're Chappa now, how do you deal with the Visage, or is that a hero that's even like worth the extra notice?
It's definitely worth a bit of consideration inside the draft, but there aren't any heroes that are particularly great against Visage. I don't know. Visage is just a pretty generally good hero. It's going to offer a lot of burst inside the tri-lane, more than likely. Heroes that can kill off the birds are few and far between now. I don't think there are very many heroes that can actually do that. I'm pretty sure Gyrocopter is one of the few that actually can.
Yeah, but of course Power Rangers themselves did manage to ban that one out, but Chappa do go for a Juggernaut Magnus opening. Juggernaut did get nerfed, but probably still a strong hero. Magnus, of course, is also solid, but that is an opening I didn't really expect to see here.
Well, and Juggernaut and Magnus work very well together. The Empower on Juggle allows him to farm very fast and do a truckload of damage inside the team fight, so I think it's a reasonable opener for them, and for Power Rangers, they're going to follow up that Visage with a Storm Spirit second for them. Both teams with a pretty solid initiation, although Power Rangers more single target focused. They can very easily bring down that single target, and well, Chappa are going to be looking for larger scale engagements, especially once Juggernaut gets some pretty big ticket items.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be rather scary if the Juggernaut gets the farm, so Power Rangers, if they want to take this late game, they're definitely going to have to draft accordingly as well, get some of their own. Storm Spirit, of course, can also be in the late game, but just not as scary as a Juggernaut Magnus combination by himself at the very least. And as to that, Avail, Chappa do ban out the Draw Ranger as well. It would have been a just great synergy with the Visage, allowing the Storm Spirit to just kind of dominate mid lane even more, should it be up against the Magnus, for example. But,
Well,
well,
alrighty then. Drone Slark is going to be the band coming out from the Power Ranger, or the Chappa side, excuse me, banning that out away from Power Rangers. These two heroes would have comboed pretty nicely with the Visage in the tri-lane, and also the Drow Visage combo is something to be scared of, and I think they're giving it a decent amount of respect, and that's fine. We'll probably look for heroes that offer a decent amount of lockdown for the Storm Spirit in particular. That's a little bit more reliable. As far as supports are concerned, I think Lion would be a good way to go for Chappa.
man, you're psychic or something. Lion it is indeed, just after you said it as well, no less. So it is going to be Lion. Of course, it is a great hero to have, like in general, to follow up the Magnus RP if it's a great one. Your Spike just has enough AoE to it to just probably get all of those targets. And of course, the instant hex against the Storm Spirit. But for Power Rangers now, it is going to be the Beastmaster. So with the Hawk, their plan is to really just, at all times, have vision of Chappa and kind of predict their initiation that way, or of course initiate yourself. Storm Spirit can easily jump in that way. Power Rangers though could still use another hero who can just jump and start the fight and just then have the Storm Spirit come in, take advantage of that chaos, for example. Of course, Beastmaster himself can build a blink as well if necessary. But for Chappa, they need one more support and what we can think to be an offlaner. As far as offlaners go, pretty much none of the offlaners have been banned so far, so the pool is really open for them.
It could also be an offlane Magnus, although against a Visage tri-lane that could be pretty problematic for the Mag. He doesn't have any fallback mechanisms, so I'd probably expect Chappa to go ahead and pick up their other support here just to make sure that they keep their lanes flexible and wait until Power Rangers show their hand before they lock their lanes in stone.
So the supports, Vengeful Spirit could be one, just another source of easy erosion for you with the Juggernaut, Empower plus the minus armor coming out. Should be rather easy in all honesty there. If not, what other popular supports do we have? Witch Doctor I suppose wouldn't be too bad. Up against a Boar, even of the Beastmaster, it can do quite a bit just because it does last longer on units.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what Chappa are going to go for. At the moment, Lion's pretty blank slate as far as supports are concerned. He can be used as a setup hero, but he's fairly self-contained. He doesn't necessarily need anything else. Maybe you want a support that airs a little bit more on the tankier side, but yeah, I think it's just up to Chappa's personal preference here.
By the way, in general, do you think we're gonna start seeing any Keeper of Light?
Silencer.
Yeah, I think that would be a reasonable pick, but for now it's going to be a silencer for Chappa. Keeper of Light's very interesting now with the cooldown reduction. It's actually pretty cool in certain lanes. I don't think it's necessarily that great with Juggernaut. At the moment, with such a long cooldown on spin early, I don't think it's even worth really going for that. It's very hard to get kills consistently with Blade Fury now. The silencer for Chappa is going to be reasonably hard for the Storm Spirit to deal with and can stonewall his ganks from pretty much anywhere. We still don't really have a good read on where these lanes are going to shake down. I'd like to see him give this silencer some core farm, but maybe that's not going to be the case. Power Rangers pick up a Lycan and Enchantress is banned from them.
Yeah, it's a little bit sad if the Senator is gonna be in that pure support role just because highly likely it's gonna be the Lion having the farm priority as the support there, and if Silencer is completely broke, it's just not a fun game. Although all you need him for might be the global silence, and to be honest, with that Silencer now, they kind of force the Storm Spirit to go towards a BKB unless they completely snowball. But going into a BKB, even that isn't guaranteed safety for you because RP will still stun you through it, as well as the Juggernaut Omnislash can kill you out. Of course, Power Rangers do have quite a bit of units now to deal with the Omnislash. Lycan with Wolves, maybe a Necrobook, Beastmaster with his units, maybe his own Necrobook on top of that. So, Power Rangers, I mean, at least the Omnislash isn't going to be as scary, but that also depends on just how the fight actually goes when the Omnislash is used and so on.
Yeah, for sure. Regardless, Power Rangers is going to have a really scary amount of tower pushing power, which isn't really reflected on the Chappa side. Juggernaut's really their only damage at the moment that scales throughout the game. Lion still offers a decent amount of burst, and Magnus too, to a lesser extent, but really it's all about that Juggernaut. If Power Rangers are able to deal with him, isolate him in a fight, focus him down inside a Beastmaster Roar, which is very likely, I might add, they will have difficulty actually pushing towers, even if they win the fight after that. Zeus is going to be the ban coming out from PR.
I mean, Zeus could have been a pretty decent addition, I suppose, but that would have meant it's either like a Zeus offlane or Magnus offlane. Both of those heroes can go there. I would probably prefer Magnus in such a situation because at least you have some form of escape there. And so far, Power Rangers, well, they are lacking a support unless they want to run a full-on jungler like an Enigma, for example. But it's gonna be a Skywrath Mage, but one thing the Power Rangers is really lacking is just lockdown. Storm Spirit, yes, it's gonna have that Electric Vortex, but you need at least like level 6 and you're not gonna be ganking early. Beastmaster needs his level 6, so those supports, they may not have the easiest time just setting up kills as roamers.
No, and I don't think they're going to be roaming that much, although I could be wrong. Visage and Skywrath, although they don't have that much lockdown, they make up for that in the fact that they have a truckload of damage between them, a lot of magic nuke early on. But yeah, Power Rangers are going to be very reliant on Cheshire Cat actually getting to level 6 quickly, or at the very least at a reasonable time, and then using the Beastmaster Roar effectively. It's really the only tool that they have at their disposal to set up kills reliably. That and the Storm Spirit. Once they hit those timing windows, it's something that Power Rangers need to be wary of.
Oh, certainly so, and as always, having a little bit of a pause at the start of the game, but at least they're communicating with us, saying that they need 1 minute, so probably like some video settings or whatever are messed up for them. But we can still introduce the lineup. So for the side of Chappa on the Radiant one, we're gonna have Nikaril playing the Magnus with Pasha Invoker on the Wind Ranger Bunny to be the Lion with Touchers, Dota, the Juggernaut, and last one is gonna be Metrim as the Silencer.
And for the Power Rangers side, we are going to have J4 playing on the Skywrath Mage, Chichira on the Lycanthrope, Cheshire Cat on the Beastmaster, and I think that leaves Sunlight on the Storm Spirit, and King R, if I'm not mistaken, on the Visage.
it should be Kingar, at least that is their player. I can't guarantee that he's the one, but by all accounts he should be, so we're just gonna go with him as Kingar and hope that it's gonna be the correct one. I'm actually gonna check, maybe he has his Steam profile as not private.
Oh, it looks like it is King R. So it should be the full 5-man roster of Power Rangers.
Well, that is always good to see, just no slacking by the teams or teammates. Oh, we have a TP already, Beastmaster. He really wants to get that ward down safely.
Yeah, and that's reasonable. He also bought the ward himself by the looks of it. Oh, no. It was just the TP that wasn't pooled to him. Or maybe he bought the ward and got a TP pooled. I honestly have no idea. But this does secure a very fast and reliable ward from the Beastmaster with boots first and a TP to the tier 1 tower that quickly. There's no way that you can actually combat that. There's pings coming out from the silencer. They want to catch Beastmaster out as he goes for this ward. But little do they know that it's already down and it's going to give him some pretty nice intel. And looks like that's going to block the pole camp as well, ensuring that Cheshire Cat gets something inside this laning stage. He's probably going to need to get pooled a couple of tangos or something to stay consistently inside this off lane. The range poke from Silencer and Lion definitely deserves some respect. At the very least, I'd expect him to buy some regen very early on.
He's definitely gonna need it, like you mentioned. The poke is gonna be pretty massive, especially should the Silencer maybe go for the Glaze of Wisdom on the first level even. It really depends on how the Silencer feels, maybe wants that last word instead. Or, I suppose even going for that Curse of the Silent can be worth it sometimes for you. I mean, Beastmaster doesn't have the greatest mana pool, and if you're out of that, you can't use the Hawk or Board to just counter harass or anything. In the meantime, Pasha is harassing Sunlight, but he can't stay around for too long because they just have more heroes around.
Yeah, that's going to secure the bounty rune for the Storm Spirit up towards top. Bottom bounty rune is going to be given towards the Jug. It's pretty important that Storm Spirit gets it and Wind Ranger does not. That's going to propel Storm Spirit towards his bottle. They started out with the exact same items, 2 pool tangos, 2 branches, and an old talisman, but getting that extra 100 golden hunter experience does give you a pretty significant advantage in lane that Storm Spirit probably needs. The range advantage that Wind Ranger has is going to make this lane tilted in her favor, and that bounty rune does dent that a little bit.
Of course, for the bounty rune, the Storm Spirit had to take a little bit of harassment from the Wind Ranger and had to use that 1 tango, and with that, even had to bring out a healing cell, so at least the gold aspect of that bounty rune is kind of negated because of that. But Storm Spirit, like I said, otherwise would be just kind of harassed or be harassed by that extra range on the Wind Ranger, and we can already see it, Storm Spirit just drops so low, and well, it's only a level 1 power shot, but still manages to cancel that healing cell on top of everything else, so far Pasha is doing a really great job mid lane.
Yeah, and I expect that to maintain the case, although actually getting a kill on the Storm is a different story entirely. The offlaners are going to be having the greatest of times. Cheshire Cat's trying to keep his distance to the best of his ability, using the board to CS. He's going to get his level 2 at a reasonable click, and is going to be doing alright, and at the very least, better than the Magnus, currently only sitting at 1.5. Nicarul hasn't really found any space in the lane. The Arcane Bolt spam from the Scarth Mage is a constant nuisance.
Scarth Mage, how much mana does he have? Well, plenty plus, oh wow, 3 Clarities on top of that as well. She's like never gonna run out of mana now. Necaril runs into Kingar, but of course Kingar by himself can easily also just make the Magnus back out, make him scared, and just, yeah, he gets the last hit as well. Range creep, not strong enough there. Almost denied as well, needs only 1 extra hit, and probably Tichara or somebody else is gonna deny him. It is gonna push out the lane maybe a little bit, but no big deal. Mid lane, oh! There's gonna be first blood, I think, indeed. He's gonna get the counter kill, but Wind Ranger still coming with the hit, getting the XP as well as the extra gold.
Yeah, the experience at this point is pretty significant. It's going to tie up the disadvantage she got from Bounty Rune. Now Nicaril is going to be chased through by Scarth Mage as well as Visage. He escapes and survives the Soul Assumption, will salve up over in the sidelines, and Nicaril is going to be just fine. But that extra bit of gold for the Wind Ranger is pretty important. Although she didn't buy bottle or anything before falling there, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but Passion Invoker is not going to get as much of an advantage as she might have otherwise. But regardless, it's still going to get the bottle faster than Sunlight. With the spam coming out from the Remnant, the Storm Spirit has caught up in this lane CS-wise. It's doing quite well for himself. Down towards bottom, some posturing. Looks like Cheshire Cat's going to be just fine, although he's probably going to cop a lot of harass from Metro.
It's just in the mid lane, the Wind Ranger, at least before this point, has kind of focused more on the harassment part rather than last hitting herself as well. So at least Storm Spirit has that going for him, but Like I mentioned, with that first blood, just the bottle going out to Wind Ranger does make it a little bit easier to spam out the power shot. Really cost efficient, you can easily last it and the rest at the same time as well. Doesn't even cost all that much mana, so Wind Ranger probably will catch up or even surpass the Storm Spirit in last hits, depending of course. Maybe there's gonna be some stacks for the Storm Spirit as Magnus. For a second I thought he might get completely boxed in by just Visage on the high ground as well as Skyriff Mage coming in from the river, but the creep wave came, the Radiant one, and Skyriff Mage backed off because of it.
Yep. Well, at the moment, things are really quite slow. There's no major killing potential in any of these lanes. It's very isolated. The offlaners have to get very over-aggressive in order to put themselves at risk, especially the Magnus. Even though the harass is really annoying in this lane, actually killing off the mag is pretty difficult. They have double slow, double nuke here for the Skyriff Mage and the Visage, but Skewer 9 times out of 10 should keep him safe. Or maybe Skewer this time around is going to put somebody onto a cliff. No, he's just going to secure the bounty, or the double damage rune, excuse me, for the Wind Ranger. Pasha is going to have that for the mid lane, and Stormstreak gets the bounty in bottom.
Yeah, it's just the fact that Skyriff Mage is a little bit under leveled for now, doesn't even have that Ancient Seal, the Silence Burn. Oh, mid lane though, we might get the Skewer, it will land, oh, and it gets him to the low ground, not level 6 yet, trying to turn around, but he's probably gonna die before he can get the counter kill. That Skewer, it was so close, but it cut into the low ground, and of course Wind Ranger with the double damage just makes it an easy kill.
Yeah, a very slick skewer coming out from Nicoril, and that's going to give him quite a big advantage, and even more for the Wind Ranger. Mid lane is now going to swing her way, even though CS looks very even. She's gotten 2 kills onto the Storm Spirit, and the first one, it was first blood, and she got the kill before. Let's see, yeah, and that's also going to propel Magnus towards level 4, giving him an advantage over the Beastmaster, so things are looking up for Chappa, all things considered, and especially when you look at the Juggernaut and Lycanthrope, they're absolutely neck and neck when it comes to raw last hits. The denies are slightly into Dodger's favor.
Oh, top lane Magnus might be in a little bit of trouble, but then again, no Ancient Seal used yet, and they really need the double slows, and of course they would also need the Lycan. Maybe it's gonna be enough if you just use that Howl for extra damage, but I do really like still that Teacher has rotated into the jungle because he can easily do so. In the stash, he's gonna have the Vladimir's offering finished with this next creep here as well. And just leave his support to farm up mid lane. Oh, not mid lane, but top lane, but mid lane Storm Spirit almost went down once again, power shot. Not quite enough damage. Had it been level 4, maybe so, but Sunlight will survive for now. He is still slightly ahead in last hits, but like you said, just the kills more than making up for it for the Wind Ranger.
Vladimir's offering does use a headdress now, so it is going to take a little bit more gold for the Lycanthrope to have that online, but he's more than sustained inside the woods. He's going to find himself level 6 and a decent amount of farm. Although this is going to slightly reduce his gold income, it's going to propel Visage towards level 6. And that's the big advantage that Power Rangers are going to get with this rotation.
Well, looks like he's also gonna wait for the headdress to come out. Sometimes you will think that he's just gonna bring out like the Morbid Mask, maybe even the Ring of Regen, just help him in the jungle a little bit, but then again, once the Vlads is finished, maybe he's just gonna go all the way into the base, just regen up. He's gonna need mana anyway, so why not? Do we have a fast like medallion coming out for the Visage, for example, though? Because he's farming the lane, and if he does go for the fast medallion, and they get the Vladimir's offering more or less at the same time, they may go for that sneaky Roshan, maybe smoke up and go into it.
Potentially. Yeah, if I'm the Visage at the moment, he's sitting on a Ring of Basilius, which is fine now that he's not paired up with the Lycanthrope. But you could very easily just disassemble that Basilius, make Tranquils, make a Medallion, and then go for that Roshan that you're talking about. It's very, very fast for Power Rangers to sneak that one out from under the nose of Chappa. Although, fighting around the Roshan pit can get pretty sketchy for them. I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment, although usually you would like to just get towards that Aghanim Scepter faster. I think the gold income from Roshan makes up for the fact that you are going to slow that down by a bit. He is getting a decent amount of space.
So, we were paused, but looks like Pasha is ready to go, as is Power Rangers, since they are unpausing after all. But Teacher is getting close to that extra tango as well as the headdress recipe then. And
oh, Shackle. Down towards bottom, catches Cheshire Cat out with his boar, and now with the last word slow applied, they're going to chase him through the trees. Hexed up, the bring and the silencer, and that's going to be a little bit of extra int from Metrum. Good rotation in from Pasha. Sometimes having those extra units proves to be more of a hindrance than a help.
Yeah, it's a little bit sad, but there was almost no escaping from that situation anyway. Especially that Dodgers is so freaking fast with those face boots as well, and just now hit level 6, so next time around Cheshire Cat shows his face. there might just be an Omni Slash waiting and could be an extremely easy kill for him.
Well, very much so. When he's next to a creep wave, less so, and well, when he has the boar close by, it is going to eat one of the bounces, so at the very least he has that going for him, but it's still a very potent tool in Chappa's arsenal. Things have really just not progressed as far as major rotations from the supports. If anybody would have done it, probably would have been Chappa, and probably just the Lion. Everything's just kind of chilled out for the time being. Sorcerer does have level 7, and does have a decent amount of killing potential, but maybe not on the Wind Ranger.
Yeah, definitely not the easiest hero to just go for without silences or just straight out stuns as well. But they may still try, we'll see. Speaking of the Wind Ranger, does just now finish up those phase boots, even more mobility that way. Just you pop the phase boots, you pop the Wind Run, and well, Lycan can catch up in the shapeshift, so that's nice, I suppose. But Lycan has his Vlads finished. J4 will come from the back. Nicaril has to be a little bit careful, but then again, J4 might be the one getting ganked. Nope. Wolves coming in slowly but surely, but they just don't have a proper way to catch up to heroes.
Oh, that's going to be a problem for the majority of the game, although they'll get a little bit of poke damage onto the Magnus. He's getting closer and closer towards his level 6. As is Cheshire Cat, to be fair, but we'll just have to see where those first gakes are going to come with the offlaners' ultimates. Tier 1 tower is going to be pushed down just the same. We have the Vladimir's offering up on the Lycanthrope, so everybody's going to be benefiting from a cool little chunk of extra armor. Tier 1 tower is already down to about half. Although it doesn't function maybe as scarily as a Drow Visage combination, Lycan Visage is the next best thing. Health damage on the familiars is quite significant. They're going to open up on a Ditchira, hex him up. He's a very fast frog to get the Earth Spike to connect, but the shockwave's off the mark. Ditchira is going to run towards the right as Dodger looks to get in range, but slowed down by the Soul Assumption, or rather not the Soul Assumption, the Grave Chill. He won't be able to get close by. They do not secure the tower, deny either, so that rotation coming out from Chappa is not going to bear any fruits.
I have always enjoyed just like hasted units being hexed because it looks a little bit funny, just a small little unit running around with hasted movement speed. Of course, Lycan is more than hasted even, you could say. But I was really a little bit surprised that the Earth Spike even connected after that hex there because Lycan was that fast. But in the end, still not enough damage. They needed like an RP as well for the extra lockdown. But Magnus just now hit level 6, didn't have it at the time, of course. Now though, we have once again Storm Spirit dropping low in the mid lane. Omni Slash was used, but he did survive after all. And knowing that the Omni Slash is on cooldown, having that medallion finished on the Visage, this might be the perfect opening to just go into Roshan now.
Yeah, I think so too. Unless you have super hard lockdown for the Storm Spirit, or he's completely out of mana, going for an Omni Slash onto him really just isn't possible. We'll just have to see if they're able to pull off this Roshan. At the moment, the Radiant do have decent vision around the Rosh pit, so if they go into it, I'd recommend going for a smoke. And at the moment, Visage and Lycan don't have that, but they do have Power Treads now, freshly picked up by the Lycan, and there is smoke on the Courier, so it looks like they're going to go for that move exactly. Let's see if Chappa are going to be privy to that factor, if they can crash that party. They do have the RP since they didn't use that in the fight up towards top, so they will have that available if the Magnus gets a little bit of mana in the short term.
Of course, what's also just favoring Power Rangers in taking Roshan is the Hawk, which has taken up position at the moment. Gets vision of Pasha as well as Pani there. So at least they're gonna know if and when someone is coming to stop Rosh Pit. Unless of course Chappa do a nice smoke themselves and sneak into Rosh Pit like that. But they may be a little bit too late because this Roshan is going down extremely fast.
Yeah, with the medallion activated, with the Visage birds attacking at it, although they're going to do a little bit less damage now that the house expired. It's still going to fall. That's second life for them, and well, they're going to snag that Aegis for the Storm Spirit. No better carrier on their team at the very least. Lycanthrope's a pretty poor Aegis carry actually, even though he's really good at getting the Roshan down. He doesn't come back with the Shapeshift, and without having that Shapeshift inside a fight, you do a lot less damage, and your ability to get out of the fight is also reduced. Storm Spirit has no such difficulties. With a full mana pool, you can do so much, so I think that Sunlight's probably the right carrier in this situation.
Yeah, I think they may even swap it out later on, possibly just give like the second Aegis to the Lycan. But that's really when you're gonna be sieging high ground, for example, because Lycan is just a little bit better at actually hitting the tower there. And with the Aegis can do it safely. At the moment though, they're nowhere near pressuring high ground, so Storm Spirit is definitely the better candidate as mid lane. Cheshire Cat has the Primal Roar, they have the Silence level 3 to follow on to Dodgers if they want to go for the Juggernaut, for example.
Alrighty then, so Chappa still applying a little bit of pressure, even though they excuse me, just don't have the Aegis. They're going to be working at disadvantage. They're going to smoke up and look for a wraparound, or who's smoking, actually. It's top three. Bunny, Metrum, as well as Pasha Invoker, looking up towards top lane, although it doesn't seem that there's anybody to be found. They might collapse onto Sunlight. He's going towards the top rune spot, picks up a haste in his bottle, and now is going to get it shackled, but not shackled towards the tree, so Pasha Invoker can't get that one, and he'll just bottle up through any damage that was applied. In the meantime, Beastmaster, as well as Lycanthrope, are going to put a lot of damage in the tier 1 tower in mid, and eventually take it. Lycanthrope gets that tower destruction.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna keep on going. I mean, they have 5 of them there. They have all of the ultimates. I'm not entirely sure if they've seen the Lion and handed his levels, but Lion isn't even level 5 yet. And oh, there's the champion. Dodger's gonna get silenced. Mystic Flare as well, but they need a little bit more. The Hexta will prevent Sunlight from getting that follow-up, but they still got the global silence and cooldown, so that's something.
Yeah, and that makes their initiation a lot more reliable. It's going to allow Storm to feel more free through these fights. He's going to feel free to go into the Juggernaut, although the spin is going to stop that initiation in its tracks. They can still keep up this pressure. Magnus does have RP, but not enough mana to use it immediately. He had to go all the way back towards base, so he's nowhere close, and by the time he gets there, tier 2 tower might have already fallen. It depends on how many heroes they feel like committing to the front lines. They're going to pop Howl, and with that Howl damage, the familiars are going to rip through the towers with a little bit of help from Wolves. And 2 heroes, tier 2 towers going to drop to 168 HP. They bring in Nicaroli. He has a skewer into RP, but he's going to be stunned up by the Vicious Familiars. Ward by the Beastmaster from the high ground. They'll pull him back in, silence him up, soul subs him down. He's going to live on 30 HP. One more attack from the Lycanthrope's enough, and now he's going to munch through the Lion too. Passion Invoker's completely out of mana, no ability to win run. They decide instead to go for Metrum, however, they're going to kill off 3. They lose their Skyroth Mage to the backlines. And can they get the Juggernaut? No way to cancel that spin through the BKBs. Cheshire Cat had previously used the Roar, but even so, it's a win nonetheless for Power Rangers. 3 for 1 trade.
Yeah, they also got the tier 2 down. I don't think it was... Oh, it was denied by the Juggernaut, in fact, so... It's something towards Chappa, but getting the deny like that, but still losing so many heroes, not worth it in the end. They did bring quite a bit of heroes low as well on Power Ranger side, but one of those low heroes had the Aegis as well. And probably it would have just backfired if you even killed him off completely, because coming back with a full mana and helpful as a Storm Spirit, it's just not fun for the enemy side. And with this now Sunlight up to 2.1k gold, probably will be building towards the Bloodstone, already has the Soul Ring anyway. So soon it's going to be complete, I guess. He needs like another 1k gold or so. So I think 2-3 minutes at max.
Storm Spirit with the remainder of DD Rune really wanted to spot out the Juggernaut, but since he was eyeballed by an Observe Ward on the high ground, that's not going to happen. The Juggernaut ends up just backing off after farming the creep wave. He had good intel, and that's going to save his life this time around. Lycanthrope's going to be working towards that Necro book, but maybe even bigger still is a Blink Dagger for the Magnus. He wasn't able to do anything in that last fight. He was controlled completely from the high ground with the Beastmaster Roar, but maybe this will allow him to position himself a little bit more comfortably inside the fights, and the power of a Blink RP is not to be underestimated. This could go poorly for Power Rangers, although they still have the second life for the Storm Spirit. Aegis is going to remain for, oh, well, only about 40 seconds.
If they really want to go, they can still make it and just make use of that Aegis, but with the Blink Roar, they may think that they don't even need it, but Dodgers, we've already seen, he's not the easiest kill, but they're going to go for it. There's the Primal Roar, Mystic Flare, but a nice RP plus the Silence. The Wolves, though, still enough to get the kill, although they might get J4 as the counter. Shapeshift is popped, and they're going to get that 1 kill, but Metrum going to lose his own life straight after he gets some intelligence. Storm Spirit does arrive to the party using all of his mana. Of course, he's going to have the regen, but another one of those fights that the Skyroth Mage dies, but Chappa just lose 4.
Yeah, it was a disastrous fight for them. The RP was a good idea, but the Skewer back didn't really accomplish anything. There was no follow-up after the fact. The Juggernaut was killed off very quickly. The Lycanthrope army is doing so much damage inside these fights. Even with just a level 1 Necro book, Ditcharod did a lot of work, and his just raw right-clicks are munching through Chappa's heroes, whose HP pools are not the greatest. In particular, the Lion and the Silencer. Only 644 HP on Lion, and for Silencer 758, it's hardly any better. They're going to feel really comfortable with themselves right now. Power Rangers have found a lot of momentum. Lycanthrope has skyrocketed in the net worth chart, and I think it's just a matter of time until they go for another push, and maybe that time's the next Roshan. At the moment, they're just going to control the enemy woods and get some form acceleration that way. The Visage is halfway towards his Agnum Scepter, as the medallion already, and there's just a lot of item progression for them.
Yeah, Digera, just Necro level 3 will come out in about 400 gold also, and that's a huge upgrade in all honesty. Cat may get his own Necro level 1, maybe he's just gonna go for those boost of travels, we shall see. As mid lane, Sunlight is invised up, but he should be aware of how many heroes there actually are. Bunny, I mean, with the Hex, there's just such an easy kill onto the Storm Spirit. If he reveals himself, he's trying to go for the deny, and Ball lighting out. Does miss the deny, but of course, it's just gonna be a tier 1 for the tier 2 trade.
Well, at the moment, yeah, it's going to be still acceptable for Power Rangers. The tier 2 tower and bottom falling is very annoying for Chappa. At the moment, they have no control over their own woods. The dire vision between a handful of observer wards placed down and a hawk that's going to be constantly in the air placed down by the Beastmaster is going to mean that Power Rangers are the ones that are going to keep tabs on Chappa, not the other way around. They really have no vision. This map is very well controlled. They just now placed one for this push onto the tier 1 tower top, and that's going to help and all. But they're just not getting enough in return. Storm Spirit now has the pressure working up and running and is ready to go. Tier 1 tower is going to fall in the top lane, but maybe at the cost of some tier 3 tower damage in bottom. Lycanthrope has Howl, and it's going to use it as Visage Familiars, and a handful of Lycan Wolves are going to put this tower probably down to about half HP after all is said and done.
So definitely a better trade is, oh, Storm Spirit gets the Quitter Snipe as well. There was nothing on it, nothing of importance at the very least. But Juggernaut might get jumped, he gets silenced up as well, didn't know to expect that one, and that should be the kill, although Global Silence might buy enough time. Nope, Soulburn just gets the end of the kill, but for a second I thought Juggernaut may just survive the silence with that lifesteal of his, but unable to do so.
Well, at the moment, we are going to have that Necrobook level 3 coming out from the Lycanthrope. Although 4 staff on Silencer might help him survive a little bit longer than he has been, Metrum just really doesn't have anything, and really hasn't been able to find any great opportunities for the Global Silence. It doesn't seem to have shut down the Storm Spirit in any significant fashion. Sunlight's been fairly free throughout all of these engagements, and worst case scenario, he just jumps on to the Silencer himself, although I think the more likely target is Lion or Magnus inside a proper engagement.
Yeah, Lion definitely, I mean, Lion himself is scary against the Storm Spirit, so that is already one reason to really focus him down. Also, just because it's going to be so fast, you're going to remove the Finger of Death, and I don't think there's been a single Finger of Death. He did hit that level 6 around the 15-16 minute mark, and after that, there really just hasn't been a position for him to use it at all. And this is probably the longest I've seen a Lion not use his ultimate.
Yeah, and also just not really be involved in any kills. He's died in pretty much every single one of the engagements that he's joined, and really hasn't joined that many. 0, 2, and 1. It's not been a very good game for Bunny.
So we do have now Kingar also finishing up the Agony Interceptor. There's no point for him to just randomly resummon those familiars. Probably gonna just wait for him to hit level 11, get the level 2 familiars, and then get 3 of those. That is gonna be just even more pushing power with the Howl helping out. Storm Spirit after that Orchid up to another 1.6k gold. They are just farming that much better, and that's all in all gonna help them to a 12,000 net worth lead. XP also nearing the 10k mark. So Power Rangers, they are probably just waiting for an extra ocean, and if they just sent the Hawk there, they would know that it just respawned.
Yeah, an extra 20 damage on each of those 3 familiars, even when they don't have any damage charges, is very scary when you're going for pushes. It's not as scary maybe as a Draw Ranger, but it's scary enough. There's going to be a Boots of Travel into the pit coming out from Cheshire Cat as he's going to partner up with his boar. It's interesting that Beastmaster has actually gone for this very mobility heavy build, going for the Blinking Bots instead of a Necrobook, but I think that's completely fine. It's working out for Power Rangers, so I suppose it's not broken, don't fix it. Dichara is going to go ahead and go into the Roshan pit, get a second life for somebody on their team, although it's probably not the Storm. Sunlight is a bit far away, but no, he's actually going to TP down to the tier 1 tower and zip in, take the Aegis. He has a double damage rune. This is probably the best time for Storm Spirit to fight in the near future at the very least.
He's gonna be wreaking so much havoc in those fights as well if he can properly use the double damage there. But Chappa, are they ready to fight? I mean, you would think so. They still have the Blink RP, although they don't have any proper follow-up items. Silencer does have his 4 staff, so it may also help them to maybe initiate, maybe just run away from the fight, counter-initiate, who knows. But breaking high ground definitely isn't going to be as easy as just going for those tier 2s, but Power Rangers, with the lead that they have, they may just have enough to completely once again win a fight. And if you look at the buybacks, well, 2 heroes have it, both the Juggernaut as well as the Wind Ranger. So it may be just enough. But it really depends. Juggernaut, if it dies before using Omni Slash, the buyback will definitely be worth it, because you will almost certainly get some kills with the Omni Slash in return. But if you use the Omni Slash and you kind of lose the fight decisively anyway, then the buyback may not even just matter much.
Yeah, and his item progression is already pretty stymied. If they force him to buy back, that's already a pretty big win for Power Rangers. He's closer in net worth to the Visage than he is to the Lycanthrope, who's comfortably sitting at the top. And that's probably not going to be changing anytime soon. Dodgers, although he's probably going to get a Mantis Talent, his damage with Empower, that is, I believe, level 3, is going to be significant. It doesn't seem that it's enough. Tier 3 tower and bottom lane is going to fall very quickly. Although they glyph, that's going to delay a lot of the HOW damage. Doesn't stop Sunlight from going in and assassinating a poor Silencer. They Mystic Flare on his dead corpse. There's absolutely nothing they can do. Now they war up the Juggernaut. Can they focus down Dodgers? There's a 4-man RP with a follow-up Earth Spike. This might be the fight that they need, but Juggernaut can't get anything off. He buys back. They'll bring down the Aegis, but that's about it. They're getting ripped apart by all of these summons. The Omni Slash flies through, but hardly tickles their team. Dodgers is going to melt. Ultra kill for King R, and that's going to be GG called out very quickly. That was as good as it gets for Chappa. 4-man RP and a 4-man Earth Spike, but they just didn't have the follow-up.
That's it. That's like the dream RP pretty much, with the follow-up skewer also landed on all of them. But they really lacked the AoE damage. They needed a Juggernaut to properly hit there with the Empower on him cleaving, or just go for the Omni Slash cleaving through that way. But Power Rangers, they just had way too much farm. All of them were just too tanky at that point. And well, with this Power Rangers, grab themselves a comfortable game number 1 just victory. Of course, it was kind of to be expected as well, maybe, but this is a best of 3 after all. So Chappa, maybe they're gonna come back with just a different strategy, go for maybe a little bit of cheese, so to say. But until then, guys, hope you enjoyed. If you did, you can always follow us for more content on HeflaTV on both Facebook and Twitter. For the casters, it is at Couchor for me, at GrandisV for my co-caster. And of course, huge shout out to those sponsors as well, making this even happen. eBattle, Hitbox, Plantronics, Silicon Power, Tesoro, Aces, man, all good sponsors. So shout out to them once again, and see you for game number 2.